That was great. Oh, with a little tap.
Gonna keep you on your tippy toes. Gonna keep you on your tippy toes. Gonna keep you on your tippy toes.
Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and it's debut day for me with XG. This is the first time I'm looking at Tippy Toes, their dance practice fix version by them. I've seen all of their pre-debut, and I've actually already seen a couple of their comebacks that they've released as of late, which is actually what motivated for this to be a potential marathon. So I'm excited to take a look. I did choose, and for all of these, I'm opting into the fixed version of the dance practice. Reason why is I'm able to see the choreography in its most vulnerable form, as well as I get to just see how they operate, if it's a one take, how their formations are, how they actually operate on a day-to-day basis in terms of if they just whip this out, what would it look like, right? And I know that we do practice and dance practices, but it is a lot harder to captivate in a dance practice fixed version in comparison to a choreography video. So I'm kind of stripping away all of the extra glitz and glamour that could be used to help with a piece and just looking at the piece as a whole. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look.
Gonna keep you on your tippy toes. Watch the way we move, the way we rip, the way we glow. They ain't ready for us, we about to wreck the game. On the back of us, they follow like a choo-choo train. This reality, yeah, we major league. Everything we do is worthy of a gallery. We gon' whisper to you super, super quiet, about to show them who's in charge, taking over with the best. Taking the lead, bringing the heat, head to the sky. I am the president, we're on the rise. You ain't seen nothing.
Very clean.
Gonna keep you on your tippy toes. Gonna keep you on your tippy toes. Gonna keep you on your tippy toes.
Fun.
Gonna keep you on your tippy toes. That's the way it goes. Gonna keep you on your tippy toes.
Ooh. I like that. They went to church? Is that what they just said? They went to church? They are very good and cohesive as a group. That's really good to have early because you're going to maintain a really strong base of fans as well as just in general this is a pretty great expectation to have whenever your debut track, even though your pre-debut is super cool, your debut track is this clean. It's good. And it's different too. Some of their choices are definitely more on that little pop of sensuality, but it's nothing crazy, you know. They're definitely able to sing this live for sure because you notice a lot of it's operating more in isolations of the hips, which is cool. This was nice. Love that. Great choice for everybody to have their hair down too. It makes it cleaner because the texture like that right there, with the exception of my dancer all the way to the end with the hat, you notice how clean it looked, even with the hair. This low-key like a prop almost when you use your hair. That whole little whacking nuance was super fun and cute too.
Gonna keep you on your tippy toes.
Yeah.
Gonna keep you on your tippy toes. Gonna keep you on your tippy toes. Gonna keep you on your tippy toes. That's the way it goes. Gonna keep you on your tippy toes.
That was cute. That was great. Oh, with the little tap, the little and they walk off. That was nice. Very clean. Also notice they didn't look winded, like really that much at all. And then the choreography doesn't really appear where it's going to be a lot of energy, but it's still very impressive that they can maintain their quality of movement as well as they did throughout the entire thing. It was always something nice. It matched the track very well. And so we're just gonna go ahead and take a look. I love that we have Tippy Toes right here and they're just laying down on the floor. I actually like this visual a lot. I can tell who's singing because she's hanging out right here. She's the only one that's moving her mouth and everyone's eyes are closed, which is kind of cool. But then we have another one. She was also singing too. But the kick was nice. Everybody's legs were on the straighter side. Some of them were just slightly bent. Here, if you look, just some of them don't quite have that full kick. Some of them definitely do. So just be an overall note. When you do a kick like this, some of them did make that concession of pushing the hips up a little bit more. So the angle was the goal. Not quite getting it to your head, but you want the angle to be as close together as possible. So that was a really nice choice. They had a really good person cleaning these. That was nice too. Boom, boom, boom. Pull it up was nice. This was cute. Boom, da da. Polyrhythmic, simple but polyrhythmic. Simple does not mean easy. Does that make sense? And I think they're doing a really good job making simple look easy, because when they're hitting it here, it's fun. There's something trying to find the right verbiage. They have a way of making their movement look simple, and part of it is simple. But we know that it's not really simple. When you try to do it, it's more of a brain teaser. That's what it is. It's a lot of brain teasers in their stuff, because how they syncopate some of the grooves on the type of track, it just makes your brain think a little bit in a good way, you know. And I think there's a really great example where they're tapping with the head, and also whoever's singing is having to polyrhythmically sync at the same time. Tiptoes, and then they kick. That was really fun, bringing it down. It has a nice little spunkiness about it, and they take their feet very clean, even look to the degree in which their foot is about to touch the ground. That's the kind of level of synchronicity I like to see. It shows that they really paid attention to all of the details, and they cleaned all of the details. They didn't neglect anything. That swing, boom, boom. Notice that they didn't place their weight so heavy on that whenever they separated the feet to bring them back down. They treated it more, they probably placed more of their weight on their hands as they came up, because it allowed them to have a very quick, sporadic moment and bringing it back down without it feeling weighty and taking up more time. So that was a great choice with your feature. That little boom, boom. It is interesting too that I recognize most of them, but I did see them in isolation by themselves. But I don't remember any of their names. There's a good chance my policy is by the end and I'm caught up, I know half the group. Whether it's 13 or 7, as long as I know half of the group, that's my victory. We'll see, based on just exposure or just those types of things. We'll see. Because remember, even though I've reacted to about 17 reactions, I only know about probably 7 of them out of the 13, which is really funny, but also I feel like I get to keep learning, you know? Having this here, I love the energy of her switching over. Yeah, boom, da-da-da-da-da, really great add-on for that part. Then, because you have 4 over here, they actually did a great job of one of them being really close to the other one over here, so it looks like a straight mirror between our 3 and then my other 3 there. That was super fun. Blending it down, looking, notice here, some of them are choosing to angle it out, and so I just popped my neck when I did that. I'm so old. Here, and some of them are choosing to use their body to create the angle. Some are using their head, so that would be a little baby disclaimer. I noticed just a couple of them doing it. And then also how close we are to our hand to our face. Notice that hers is a little bit more placed. Hers is a little bit more conversational. Hers is tailored more towards the ear. I mean, all of them are pretty to the ear, but you could tell that just with some of them, hers is a little bit more cupped and curved. So those would be little details you could clean to make it even cleaner. Bringing it back in. I love this. From the ear down to the mouth. Super fun. That boom, boom, boom. Great syncopation. I do know Lab and Sienna are probably on this, right? Makes total sense. And this is one of more of Sienna's chill pieces is what it feels like. Sienna, girl, this is you. A fabulous job. I love the little salute there. Boom. Great energy. As we bleed it down. Normally when people do these, it kind of feels like not everybody's on the same page on where they're placing their weight or placing their hands on the back. They're doing a really great job of placement, and everybody's engaged in a similar way, but they're all a little bit different. And I really like that choice. Having her break out. Also, they're choosing, instead of switching between both legs, it's a triple on one leg. And it's just a slightly different variation than what you normally see when people are down like that. And then, of course, we did a little brush up, little moment, swing through. That sky was nice. You notice, I'm going to see if I can get it to work. See, sometimes when I click too fast, it pops me out of it. But we got to talk about this. I love it when multiple frames are taking place. Love this here. And even notice too that they're not committing to like a full straight arm. They have a little bend to it, but everybody's bending in a very similar way, which helps. You know, even here, they're bending ever so slightly in this elbow. They're bending ever so slightly here. Hers is a little bit more bent. Hers is a little bit more straight. But just notice that it just feels very tasteful, all of this. You know, because everyone's committing to the same degree of the bend. And a lot of times that's a lot harder to clean than you think. It is. That's why a lot of times you see people with really straight arms or 90 degrees. It's just easier to work with even angles, like a 90, a 180, 360. You know, it's really difficult to be operating with like a baby bend. It's just harder to clean. And they have 7 people and they got it solid right here. It's great. That was nice, her brushing her hair back. They also did a little bit more of a shampoo kind of arm to have this little moment. That was really nice and smart on my features part. So she goes down and over. Notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7, but it's interesting that we have 2 people leveled down. It actually works here because it feels more full. It feels more intentional. And it feels like they're connected in some way by the formation, even though there's a break in more like this little hill. So that's kind of fun. That was nice. Boom. That reminds me of Black Mamba from Espa, though. That's my little note. No, Espa does not own this little hip drop lunge over. This is a freaking stretch you do at the gym sometimes. You know what I mean? But I will say that does give me a very similar energy. I think it was because, did they do a hair whip? They did, and that's why. It was the hair whip, Max bringing it over. Different timbre, of course, different sound context, of course. And it's not... They did, you know, just the order's a little different as well. So I know that, and it's just a move, and no one owns it really. I like this here. It's fun. But that's just, I can't ignore the fact that that's what it reminded me of. Here, it is interesting that her knee is in towards the inside. Normally for this type of position, you would have somebody take their knee more linear or to the outside. So that would, I'm going to kind of give that a note. I think that would make this look a little bit more dominant, and it would actually frame your lower person a little bit better if either she angled herself more over here to create a really drastic angle so it framed better, just like what you see with my marker, if she really moved that hip over, or she turned this foot out so it created more of like a 7, so you're actually in opposition to your person that's lower. That's more of a preference thing, but being honest though, I think that this there's like a little bit of, not discomfort, but her hips aren't square, and it doesn't feel like there's a dominant, why are we placing our foot on this knee? Because there's no angle to help carry this choice. I think that's kind of my point. It's just more of a note. It's not even a critique. But I understand why she did it, because she just did a little kick over too. So that would also imply if she had her hips turned out, she would actually be able to kick over, because you noticed her hip was turned in and it was kind of hunched up. It was a lot harder to engage the inner thigh for the extension, because that's where you should be engaging, not the quad. Quad can only go up so high. The inner thigh is where a lot of your extension can come from in grand ma, développé, what have you. So for her to be able to do that kind of in towards the inside fan, she needed to engage from the inner thigh, but she couldn't because of that hip rotation. So that's, I'm going to make that as like a genuine note to just be mindful of if they do that move often in the future. I like the fact that they're all wearing black and white. It's fun, and it feels like we get to all of them. Just the energy is really nice. It's clean, and I feel like here this breakdown's really fun. Now here they're choosing to pick up, like they're on their tippy toes, you know, like we're trying to be quiet. It's dainty but spunky, very whispery. It's flirty, but spunky flirty, you know. Yeah, tippy toes. That was super fun. And it works too when they have that moment, because they are going. That's why this works, because it's so quiet, and naturally it's a lot of their movement is it makes sense too that they sound, you don't really hear them either. I don't know if this is audio overlay, it's what it sounds like, but if we heard this in the live dance practice, it may not feel this, we may not be able to carry the audio as effectively as what we're having here because of the audio overlay. We're able to really understand the whispers and the ta-ta-ta-ta, you know. I just think it's fun and really great choreography choices here. The little ta-ta-ta-ta. Yep, and then the tippy toes right here, and then now using a little bit more of the footwork. So this is nice where they built this out. I believe she starts and then it goes into an add-on. So instead of going normally in this formation, you would have somebody go here and then you would peel it out from the back because they're the natural next people in line. She didn't do that. That was a pretty inspiring add-on choice that they did. So instead, this is our 1, and then they join on 2, and then you have your 4 on the back on 3. My brain is so used to 1, then they go, and then these 2 on the outside would go. So I feel like my brain was learned something new today. I love that. It's simple but effective. I love that there. Boom, da da dum dum. Having one of your features have her moment. Everybody drop down a little bit more. My big note for that though is you notice all their heights are pretty similar, so they could have really dug a lot deeper with that rock. Like they could have taken their upper body and really lowered it, so we could have seen an obvious level change there. That's my note for that. Yeah, that and really great on the on just the overall justification of the tone of it. Really great. And they're on the balls of the feet. If they were on their heels, that wouldn't translate as well, but I will give this a note because I'm just noticing it here. Some of them are choosing to place their weight near the outside of their foot versus towards the big toe. And when you go up on releve or if you're on the balls of the feet, the big toe to index toe, the ball portion, so like the padding underneath the toes, that part of your foot is going to feel a lot better, and you're going to be way more stable and maintain your balance on these types of things way more than if you try to put it near the pinky toe or the ring toe, because that's going to train your muscles to low-key go in a sickle, and you don't want that, especially if you're doing more feminine styles, because you're going to, a lot of times you want to really flex and point your feet effectively, and it's just a prettier line whenever you think about utilizing the big toe and the index toe more so. I like the swing and the swing, so that was super nice with the head. That was the coolest part of the whole thing. It was a little Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal. I think somebody told me about that. I think the most impressive thing is look how freaking is your Achilles like behind your heel. I'm not very great at anatomy, so forgive me. Behind the ankle, it's not the Achilles. It's not the ACL. I think this is by the knee. But just the flexibility of the back of that ankle is so envious. My podiatrist would die if I showed up with my flexibility. Like, he's probably like, Jessica, you need to stretch 15 times more than you should. My one note is notice though that everybody's doing it. She's the only one that does not have that flexibility there. So that would be my note for her, because there's an obvious gap difference and it does affect the range. Honestly, I think they got very lucky that everybody was able to hit the exact same angle. That's great. Normally when you have people that go up on releve, they either slow down their Smooth Criminal or they can't control coming out of it because they're not starting and finishing the same way as everybody else. But I'm mad impressed by this. So I think that somebody said that there's a Michael Jackson inspired move. I think this is pretty freaking close. I would say this is the move. I love it though. Nice little surprise. Drop down. Boom, da-da-doom. Really nice having this moment. That was fun. Bring it up. It's tasteful. It's not, it's seductive, but it's not wild. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what I'm appreciating about this, because a lot of these girls are underage. And for me, I'm like, part of me's like, you gotta be careful, regardless if they are a celebrity or not. It doesn't exclude it. In my head, you gotta be mindful about people who do really sexual inspired content, as regardless if it's freedom of expression or not. You're 16. You know, I feel like there's a, when you're 19 or you're an adult, which I know some of you guys have told me that she's like 19, I think, at the time of this, and some of them are 16 or 17. So I still stand by that. I like some of these moments, but it's something to just be aware of, that we don't want to do those moments with a something else in mind kind of stuff, you know, like Jungkook had the Golden album. He's my age, so I think he's like a year or two younger than me, but he's a grown adult making the choices that he's making on his song choices. Does that make sense? Even though he's a K-pop idol, he's, you know, it still goes back to that. Here, these girls, a lot of them are underage. Now, if Jungkook was pulling what he was pulling, now, back then when he was underage, that'd be a huge issue. So I think it's just, I'm very thankful that even though there's these choices, I can tell if Sienna did choreograph this, I think she's being very mindful about not making, like, sending it over the edge to making it very mischievously sensual with does that make sense? So that's my overall note. And just because you do it really good doesn't mean that it's okay. Does that make sense? But I'm not saying that about XG. I'm just talking about in general. I really like how clean they are for this section and how they hit that with the hips. They have really great hip isolations, and that's something I noticed with a lot of their stuff. Some of them had some overlapping styles in their individuals. So it's something that's translating well here. Even right there, notice, I think there was just a couple discrepancies in the actual angle of the hand and where the palm's supposed to be facing. But it was really fun for her to have her moment and then have partner work happening behind her. Great way to introduce your next feature. I think the angle was just slightly off, but I really understood what they were trying to come across. And it's a one take, and I am such a fan of one takes. Go back down, and nice little salsa moment. I think that was a wordplay moment. Now, I guess my question is, did they say church? They said church. Okay, I did catch it the first time. I freaking love that. Church. Oh, that was so fun. They go away. Now having your next feature. Love it. They bring it back in. But notice though, because we have 3, it's not symmetrical. So that's my little note there, is that we do have one person featured. But then they fix it and they create a different angle, but she's significantly further ahead. So this whole formation progression here is really I don't think it's what's the word? I really feel like there could have been a slightly different way for them to feature with 4 or have your feature with 4 people. You know, that's not quite the typical choices you would make, but I don't think that this translated as well just with her being the feature, because it's not symmetrical, so it's harder to see her frames unless she's talking. And the goal is in choreography, it should be you want to make it very clear who you want featured, you know. And so I think also, because your feature is in white and she's in black, and how she executed this movement with the chest was a little bit more extroverted than some of the other ones, it's hard for me to not take my eyes off of her because she is in an opposing color, and how she was doing it was a little bit more full compared to your feature. Hence why it's important to frame your feature well, so that's not even an issue. But, ooh, that was nice. But then we have now our real feature, our another features right there. So that was a really nice way to go back into the formation. So the first half was a little bit shaky, maybe make a different choice. I really liked how they did it in the second half though, so I will give them that. Slide through, I did notice with my feature, she didn't quite pick up her feet as much in that transition like everybody else did. She kicked about maybe like a 15-20 degree angle. Everybody else kicked a 25 to 35 degree angle. Little things like that are fine if you are being featured, which this is the case. She is. So that was a fun, nice little switching of the feet. It was cute. Now, nice little flower. This is gorgeous where they go down and they go side to side. Normally you see people fold down from this side, but they completely just said, girl, let me arch back. And I said, okay. And I love it. It's very floral. It's very feminine. Head to the sky, and the sky, look at the sky, and they come up. I feel like I've seen something similar to that. It was their most recent performance video where they're in the blindfolds, and at the very end they look at the sky and it says something like shine bright in the sky or something like that, and they look up and they do something similar to this. So I wonder if that's an Easter egg that, you know, if I went back and watched the performance video, I would pick up on that. That was really fun. I love that. Eye contact's really important. I love this. Bringing it up from here, boom, having this moment, being very clear with the angle, even up here versus just here, boom, right up there. I love it. Having the moment. Now, this is impressive, because notice, even to the degree of the angle, even though that everybody is slightly like not directly behind each other, really clean, because how they hit it down and bring it over, they're not doing it so big and aggressive, because the timbre or the sound or that percussion that they're hitting on that, boom, isn't loud and aggressive, so they shouldn't interpret it as such. So I'm actually very impressed that they were able to keep it very, it's a very reboundy, it's not heavy, where it makes a huge statement before and after. It's just kind of there, and that's done in a really good way. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, so now we're back to the unison choreography. I do like the unison choreo. It's a nice little moment because having unison and then having them break off into 3 little groups is really fun. But then they go back in, and how they join in their add-on is a lot faster on the uptake here than normally people would do an add-on. Sometimes people would do 2 counts, that 1, 2, 3, 4, and they would just make it the even counts, but they added on, I think, on a syncopation, which I think is interesting. Done, done, done. So they did it on the single counts. Done, 2, 3, 4. So they did technically do it on the 2s, but it was faster. And you still have your feature very well placed. Dipping it down. Tippy toes. Yep, done, 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 done. Then we do a little bit of geometry. Having everybody face different directions, which is really fun. And keeping on your tippy toes, little moment. Dipping it down to the line. Now, I love this choice because she's having her moment here. Didn't really get revealed until she moved away, but she's going right to her spot and she joins in at the perfect time when everybody else moves. That shows you the importance of being stable, even if you're not a focal point. This is an interesting question that I get from students sometimes when I clean choreography. They're like, what am I supposed to be doing at this part? And I tell them, you're supposed to just stand there and be stoic. Here's your performance that you need to do. But you're contributing to the focal point by being still here, you know? And so it's always an interesting topic that a lot of dancers don't think through because they're in the choreography. But when you're looking at it from a choreographic lens, like you're the one creating the choreography, there's beauty in the absence of movement, just like there is in the beauty of movement itself. So this is why this worked, is because they were so freaking still, so she can get in her spot. And as soon as she got in her spot, they moved. And it was great timing and range on that. Still having your feature. Even there, it's slow. It goes boom and boom. And notice too, something that they do is not only do they hit an angle, but they go about 25% further within the angle than I would expect, which is what catches me off guard. This is an example. And then when they were in their circle and they dip back, that's another example. So I think this was just really nice. Their commitment with their head. And like I said before, you would be shocked at how many people can't throw their head back as dancers, because sometimes you have to train to use your head, and it's a lot of times people have it and a lot of people don't. So it's a good skill that everybody, it feels like everybody trained to make sure that their head was at the right range at the right time. I love that. Dipping through was nice. Really great choice on how they dip down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, revealing your next feature, having her walk around. Now back into the same move that we saw earlier, so that was actually kind of cool. I don't know if they end up having another walk around like what we just saw. Because of the type of way they did this bridge, I don't mind the walks because it feels very intentional and purposeful. I didn't feel like, ooh, I don't know how to get you there, so just walk there. You know, there's a difference there. And I think it's because they really showcased, they paid very close attention to how they were supposed to get where they were supposed to go and how they execute each movement to the degree that they're executing their movements. And I think that's why when you see moments of humanism, right, where they either make mistakes or they walk around, you tend to be more forgiving because they've already showcased the amount of hard work they put in from the other facets that you've already watched. So kudos to XG for that. That's really nice. Nice with the pull through. So it's pretty much the same choreo that we saw, but now it's in more unison. Notice some of them are covering up their eyes and some of them are covering down below. So that would be something to clean. Also with tuts, it's tricky because you notice that some people's wrists are slightly off in comparison to others. And that stems from not everybody has it over their eyes. Some have them here. That looks different. Angle's a little different as well. Some of them are angled more towards in, more at the right angle. Some people have their wrists a little bit curved. So, and some of them have it collapsed together where they're creating this more angle versus this one here where they're switching it over. I think it's actually here. That's what they're doing. But some of them have it here and some of them have it here. Do you see the difference? Like the little details like that. But I will tell you, the fact that I have to be super nitpicky like this just proves how great of a job they're doing, you know. As a this is their freaking debut. This makes me mad a little bit how good this is. This is great. This is just as good as their most recent comeback. Even though it's been a year or a couple of years, they haven't been in the game for a super long time. It's a pro and a con. If you're really good at your debut, that means people expect high things from you in the future. And they've held it down in everything I've seen them do so far. Pre-debut to their most recent comebacks, right? So that's something that we shouldn't discredit at all. And I really feel like with the fan base, the alphas, I think you guys really see their hard work and you see how much work they put into this, which is why I think you guys are so supportive of them. But also because I only see their content, I don't really look at the behind the scenes stuff. I can also see how hard they work because of what is clean. Not just the overall cleanliness, but what about it is clean. Because sometimes something can look clean, but not refined. Like I would say this example, this is just a really small detail. But if you notice the fact that I was talking about the angle of the Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal as well as the angle of the kick, that normally when you kick it, people don't think through the true degree in which it needs to stop and come back down. Those little details are something that a lot of groups don't clean, but they do. And that's why this little section for me is just they're in the moment looking through it. I'm kind of okay with being a little more forgiving on this section, but it's still very cool. With a nice little with a little pop of a whacking overhead. It was super nice with the dip down. That was fun too. They all had a moment. Very mischievous. I'm gonna keep you on your tippy toes. It's cute. Dipping it down. Boom. That's another example. They were just going for it. And we come right back up. This was gorgeous right here. A lot of times you see these kinds of swings in Vogue, but I really liked seeing them here. Very clean. Dipping it down. They commit with their head. A lot of people don't commit with their head. But notice that I had mentioned this already. Everybody looks very clean on the range of the hair. I think this is the exact section I talked about it. Hers is not going to be as full because she has a hat on. Watch what happens. That right there. That part looks so freaking sick though. I love that moment. But notice, she threw the head, but hers didn't look as full as everybody else's because she has a hat on. Her hat looks freaking cool and I want her whole outfit, don't get me wrong. But I would say that would be little things if you really wanted everything to be crisp and clean and everybody's hair to even have the same level of cleanliness. Not talking about taking a shower. I'm saying cleanliness in the range in which it chooses to be thrown because it feels like everybody has long hair here, right? And hers is the only one who's wearing a bald cap or just a hat in general. But it still looks it's a very nice aesthetic she has though. I'll give her that. And it's still very clean in all of the facets, which is why it doesn't bother me as much. Here, I love this. Look how stable they are on this arm. Right here that you're seeing, I think it's their left arm. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're able to do this move where it's so level and they're still able to transition it because of the stability they have on their the arm that has all the weight. Very impressive on that section. With a nice little boom, keep you on your tippy toes. It's small, it's subtle, and it's cute. It's not, which I'm a fan of. Dipping down, boom, and notice that what makes it feel at that level of elegance is this little pull that they have with this. It feels like making biscuits, like a cat. So it has this feminine touch to it, and it's because of how they're using their hands on that. Great on the feature, having that moment while everybody switches out with their body. Great. Also, it's cool to tie this part in while you saw it on the ground because it just feels like a variation, but it ties in really well on this groove that we've seen a couple times. That was a nice moment. Let me go back and see that one more time. Yeah, da goes, and I keep you on. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, da. So it was really fun to see her kind of speed it up. And even how they finish. Tippy toes, she takes it. Very similar to what we saw in the very beginning with the tippy toes and before the kick happened. So I like that moment she had. And then they go, boom, with the head. That's impressive too. Notice that not only did they tap it, they all move their head at the same time. It felt like they all made the same natural choice going through. That's an A+ for me. And all, this is a freaking great debut, and it makes me very, very, very excited to see what happens in these future comebacks and other concepts that they choose to do. This is cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was helpful in some way. Definitely enjoying my time with XG. I'm also reacting to ATs at the time of making this video. So this is really cool, very different than what I have seen in the past. And it definitely makes me look forward to seeing what else they have to offer too. So if you want to see more K-pop content, dance content, things of the like, if you want to see any of my content earlier than what you see it on YouTube, because it all releases early on Patreon, you can go check it out over there. But if you're okay with waiting it out, I'll be hanging out and having good vibes in the discussions in both places. So definitely excited about that. I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.